Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1156. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont. Today, we hear from Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley, and the return, finally, of a cough that was not...
Mike's Daily Podcast.
What the heck? As I was talking into this microphone at Cafe Anyway, a speck of dust
Mike's Daily Podcast
flew into my larynx, and that was not something that I was planning on. Now I have to come up with the lyrics to this song. Hey, today, my friend, it's going to be better than that grocery store Rayleigh's, because today we're going to bring you back the Daily Haley. Yes, it's a wonderful, wonderful show.
Mike's Daily Podcast,
where we speak with Haley once again. Haley the Semi. Hey, I went to a street fair.
Mike's
a street festival.
Daily.
It was more of a festival than a fair.
Podcast.
A fair would have rides and cows, and this had horses walking around in a circle. I feel bad for the horses that walk around in a circle. I feel bad. They're just stuck in a loop, and these crazy kids jump on top of them. But Mike, they get all the reward in life being with the kids. I don't know. Their reward in life is getting fed. I feel bad for them. But my dog, Basil the Boxer, got to see the horses. I walked him all over the place downtown. I met a couple of fellow dog walkers. It was great. It was great music. I didn't know my neighbor. Well, he doesn't live right next to me, but he lives a couple blocks over, and I walk past his house all the time. And I hear him playing music, and he plays reggae with his son. He's a guy about my age. His son's probably 13, 14, and his son's amazing on the drums. And then this guy I know plays the bass, and he plays bass in this band. And they were at this street festival in downtown Hayward, and it was the last one of the summer. So we gotta wait till next year till they do more. But yeah, and there's been all this news lately, all this bad news coming out of Hayward, and all the papers and all the headlines say, "Oh, look who just walked in."
Hello, Michael Master, it's Madame Rootabega, and I love Hayward.
What do you love most about it?
All the barbecue places.
Ooh, there's a lot of barbecue places in Hayward, none of which I've eaten at yet.
Michael, it's delicious. You eat the barbecue, and you're covered from head to toe in barbecue sauce. Then you go home and your boyfriend licks it off. Ooh.
Oh. Yeah. That's all right. You know, I was gonna go into, yeah, could you come in?
I'm gonna need you to go ahead and come in tomorrow. That would be great. Okay?
But tomorrow's Saturday! You can't make me come in on Saturday! Actually, I am not going in on Saturday. I'm not going in anywhere on Saturday. Yeah! Because I'm taking tomorrow off. That's right.
Standing out here,
Whatever that was. Look who else just walked in.
Hello there, Mike. It's Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we're really happy that you are taking Saturday off. Because you work 7 days a week, you need a day off day.
Yeah! Day off! Do you know that? The sound effect popped in there for the da-da-da because days off can be scary. You've got to come up with something to do all day. Oh, but Mike, you could just lay around and nap.
Michael Master, you could just lay around and lap.
I could lay around and lap, but I'm not going to lay around and lap. I'm going to go out and do something and get as far away from radio as possible. And it was so funny because I saw that had I worked tomorrow on Saturday, they would have given me so much to do. I would have bet all these remotes and things. So I'm getting off scot-free. free? Is that a slur against Scottish people? Why is Jim Gaffigan? Hey, Jim Gaffigan, the comedian extraordinaire in everything now. He's got commercials for cars, for everything. Okay, maybe he's just got one commercial for cars, but it seems like I see him everywhere now. The dude is cashing in. Meanwhile, our very funny Amy Schumer has decided, hey, she's had enough of her racist writing staff. Or what was the guy? There was a guy on her, one of her writers said some not so nice things against women. Was misogynistic or something. So she said, nope, you're out. And then she said, no, my show's on hold. Which people are like saying it's because of this guy, the writer, but it's probably because she's got lots of opportunities now, and maybe the television show, it's on Comedy Central, right? And Larry Wilmore is off on Comedy Central, and he was making fun of it. Comedy Central hasn't just fired him and thrown him out the door. No, they've given him like a week, so he's got all this time to comment about it. It's hilarious. Comedy Central's like fine with that. Stephen Colbert sent him a whole bunch of those little bottles, those airplane bottles of booze. And Jon Stewart's going to be on his last show. He's funny. I guess, whatever. I don't know exactly why. I haven't really watched Comedy Central in eons now. I got a little tired of Jon Stewart even, so. But they're geniuses. They're comedic geniuses. They have made me laugh. Larry Wilmore, Stephen Colbert, all of them, the John Oliver, all from that. So many hilarious people came out of The Daily Show. Stephen Colbert, Steve Carell, Ed Helms. They all sprung forth. Samantha Bee from the amazingness of was it Liz Winstead that started the whole thing, the whole show, The Daily Show, way back when Craig Kilborn hosted it. And back then it wasn't so political. It could get political at times, but that was back in the 90s. And it was hilarious back then. I was glued to it. I would watch it because I worked when it first aired. I was working at night on a country station. But I would get home for the replay, and then they would also show it in the afternoon the next day, and I would just laugh. But enough about my past history. Let's hear about yours. You can email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. And I'd love to hear from you. And we read your comments on the section, emails from email, and your comment, not so comments.
Oh my God!
Email for email and your and not so comments.
For example, last show I talked all about dogs. You could tell me what you think about dogs and your dog suggestions for making dogs happier. I think taking your dog to a street festival and letting him walk around and sniff everybody and have all these people come up to him and go, oh, what a beautiful boxer. Oh, how cute. Oh. I think the dogs like that. I don't know. And then dogs meeting other dogs. They like to meet other dogs. It is just a fun free-for-all. But really quickly, before we get to the Daily Haley, I would like to mention the somewhat controversial situation we got going on with Donald Trump and the media. And Donald Trump saying, and I was talking about this last podcast about how he's very, very conspiratorial, paranoid. And he was saying that the news media is completely out to get me. And then, a lot of conservative talk show hosts jumped on that and said, yeah, the media is liberal, which they always say, drive-by media, liberal media, and all that. But I heard on a show called To The Point with Ward Olney. I love that podcast. Comes out of Santa Monica and KCRW. And they were talking, this conservative talk show host, I forget his name. It wasn't one of the big names. But he was mentioning about how so many people just buy whatever Donald Trump says, hook, line, and sinker, just as stinker? Hook, line, and stinker, I think is what it is. Just as much as maybe some people on the liberal side accept what liberal media, basically echo chamber. People listen to what they want to hear, and And like when they fact check Donald Trump in the quote-unquote liberal media, the people on the right won't listen to it, or the Trump supporters won't listen to it. But now there's a lot of Republicans that are not buying into the whole Trump thing, that are actually like calling up the New York Times and going, hey, thanks for doing that article about Trump, because it shed light on something that he was completely obfuscating, skating like crazy. I know a guy who obfuscates every word out of his mouth. And it took me a while to deal with it. But now I just realized this guy, he's been in radio his whole life. He's bought into the whole perception is reality. You can make things bigger than they are because you're just dealing with audio and not the visual, and it's just the words you say. And his whole life is that now. And I just realized that everything he says, I have to take with a grain of salt. Scalt? And whatever scalt is, I have to take a grain of that. And he's also... but I've known him so long now, I know when he's lying, it's when his lips are moving, right? Like politicians. No, it's when he says, and stuff like that. He uses that as a crutch phrase. And I know, especially when he says, and stuff like that, that he's lying or obfuscating, not telling all the facts. That's how sometimes you have to roll with certain people. But you can find out more about past podcasts and interesting people I've talked to at my website, mikesdailypodcast.com, and the past podcast pictures. Speaking of which, today's...
And here's today's podcast picture.
This picture was from like a little over a year ago. I started this job about a year and 4 months ago. And I was in Fremont, walking my dog, actually, Basil the Boxer. And this is a particular area in Fremont along that's called the Alameda River, I think. And it's near the Quarry Lakes. And it's just a nice walk. And I never get to walk that anymore because I drive to Fremont, work, and get the heck out of Fremont. So I haven't been back to that spot lately. And I go back to Podcastro Valley, where now school is just about in, and it takes me twice as long to get home because I'm driving home just as all the schools are letting out. But that's the fun of the Bay Area. And so that picture is of me there. Walk along. There's all kinds of interesting trails and whatnot in Fremont, in the places you wouldn't expect, and also all throughout the Bay Area. East Bay Regional Park District. Go to their website. Check out all the amazing places. I'm giving them a free plug, even though I had to give them $300 because I had a dog off leash at one of their parks once in an area that was not specified that they couldn't be off leash. I didn't know. I've talked about this before. But yes, Mike'sDailyPodcast.com for all the past podcast pictures and interviews. And if you'd like to help support the show and you're doing a lot of shopping on Amazon, click on that Amazon link before you buy anything on Amazon. Go through Mike'sDailyPodcast.com and click on the link, and that helps us out. And there's also a PayPal if you'd like to donate, and you'll get a special greeting from all the Cafe Anyway characters, including the ones that are happy that I'm taking tomorrow off.
Yeah, Mike, that's really good. You need to get out there and run around and not talk about Chris Christie Day.
Yeah, Chris Christie's our hero. Do you know that? It's crooked Chris Christie.
You shut your mouth when you talk to me. Day.
All right, Valentino. We have our little squabbles over Chris Christie, who apparently excused Donald Trump of a lot of debt at one point. But that was just another thing. Hey, I may have gotten that news story from the drive-by media, and it hasn't been fact-checked. I don't know. But you can find all that at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com, and also where it has links to where to find us on the social media and all those places. And now, the Daily Haley.
The Daily Haley. The almost Daily Haley.
Best of cream. I went out to the crossroads. Can you input some of those when the logs are made for tomorrow? Craig wanted me to ask you. Thanks. So we're here now in the KDOW studio, where we were listening to a little bit of Cream, and I'm speaking with Haley on the Daily Haley. How are you?
Hi. I have my coffee, so I'm happy.
That's good. Crossroads. What a fantastic Eric Clapton. What an amazing guy.
It's true. He's done a lot of stuff.
You know a lot about classic rock and material. Tell me about your favorite classic rock bands.
It's a difficult question.
How about I make it easier? How rad is Eric Clapton?
Pretty rad. Pretty rad. I love one of his most famous albums, his live one at the Albert something hall. Something.
Yeah, I think I know.
Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about. It had the version of Tears in Heaven, which I think is the only released version of that song, actually, is that live recording.
The live recording. He did also a recorded version for the movie Rush, which involved cops doing cocaine.
Tears in Heaven?
Yeah, it was actually on a soundtrack first.
Oh, okay, I missed that one.
But no, are you talking about the MTV Acoustic Unplugged?
No, that's Nirvana.
No, Eric Clapton did that too. So did Rod Stewart.
No, there was one that had they were live acoustic versions. Cocaine and Tears in Heaven were on that.
Oh, and you like Cocaine because it was written by who?
I thought it was Eric Clapton.
No, I think it was. You like John Cale, right? It's John Cale. J.J. Cale wrote Cocaine.
J.J. Cale, John Cage, Nicolas Cage. They're all essentially the same person.
Have you gone to see any Nicolas Cage movies lately? Because so many come out every week.
No, the last one I saw, I think, was National Treasure 2.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's on TV all the time now. It's like, oh, look, there's John Voight. And now Haley has a story about John Voight.
Yeah, I met John Voight once. He was at a Medal of Honor ceremony. They were giving away medals of honors to people from the military that earned medals of honors, and as part of the choir that I was from the college that I was at, Azusa. I went to Ohlone afterwards. We were singing at this event.
You went to a lot of colleges with weird names.
2 of them. And he was there, and we sang, and then afterwards we got to sort of mingle in the crowd, talk to people, and I got to talk to John Voight, and I shook his hand, and I was super excited. And then he just decided to be a Trump supporter, so now I've vigorously scrubbed my hand. You
didn't tell the story about the scarf.
No, he told the story about the scarf. I hardly remember it. Who cares?
Anyway, it was something to do with the reason why he wears scarves or ascots or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
Hey, so what I enjoy about doing it this way versus having mics on both of our faces at all times, instead of me now, I'm holding the recording device in my hand and having to shove it in your face. It's like as if when I shove it in your face, it's like me saying, say something. I'm giving up on you. Exactly, that song. Oh, what's it playing now? What's that? I wonder. YouTube is a wonderful thing. Oh, it's playing Cream, Badge. That's Royal Albert Hall, 2005. Oh, wow. He's great. Okay, so Sia. We've talked about Sia.
Fine.
We've talked about Sia on the podcast before. I didn't know this, but she is the niece of Colin Hay of Men at Work. I come from a land down under. Women club, men plunder.
Which we said makes sense, that there's very few people within Australia.
Yeah, Australia's got 2 people.
There's even fewer people in the 80s. Before it was just Colin Hay. Now it's Colin Hay and Sia.
That's right. That was it. And so,
Sia moved. It's Colin Hay and a kangaroo and a wig.
Look at that. That's all that's left.
Is that Sia's mom?
Sia's mom is a kangaroo with a wig on?
Yeah, half black, half white wig.
Oh, okay. Because she likes to wear those. If you've ever seen Sia in concert, she wears
Sia.
Recent Sia. She hides her face behind a wig. Although there's several album covers with her on, so you can actually see what she looks like on previous album covers.
It's true. I have one of them. It's good. It's got Oh Academia.
Oh yes, we've discussed that song. That's a great one. So the radio station that I work for, that's an adult contemporary, that's never played Sia before, now they're starting to play the new Sia song. The guy sent out a memo to all the DJs, and I get one, and I'm part of that list, and it says, hey, just a reminder, the way to say Sia's name is Sia. He spells it out phonetically. Because I guess some people were saying Saya.
Sayonara.
Because that's how some DJs are so clueless.
Oh, don't I know.
But
when I worked at a top 40 station, we had to, every time we put in new songs, we had to phonetically write out each of the artist names if they had a new song in the rotation, even if they were an older artist, or even if they were just featured on a song, because people just could not get pronunciations.
Is it Jeremiah?
Yes, it's Jeremiah. Stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, because he doesn't have a AH in there, so it's Jeremiah.
Yeah, it's Jerem-I-H.
Oh, okay. I like his stuff. It's good. So, anything else new with you? Did you get a new squirt? What? Okay. That was all right then. He's turned into a didgeridoo. Uh-oh. Well, I think this has been a very delightful Daily Haley. Got any plans for the weekend?
Yeah, I'll go down to Australia. Learn how to play the didgeridoo.
That's great. Well, we actually had a theme on today's Daily Haley, Australia. I've been really into NXS lately. Into NXS. What you need, it's what you need.
Well, just make sure you're doing it in moderation.
Oh, okay. Get you. Instead of NXS. Right. Okay. Don't change for you. Don't change a thing for me. I need you tonight. Thank you, Haley.
'Cause I'm not sleeping. There's something about you, girl, that makes me sweat.
Get a chamois for that. All right. Thank you. You going to watch the rest of the Olympics?
Yes, entirely without sound.
That's how we watch it at work. All right. Thanks for that enlightening Daily Haley. Haley, you want to say anything out to your fans?
Bamboozle.
Thank you, Haley. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Didn't you miss Haley? So, hey, did you know that when Priceline.com started, you could buy their stock for $64, and now each share is over $1,000? Isn't that amazing? I learned things like that through working at the business radio station that I work at. And I learned this today. Well, you probably have heard about this since by the time you hear this, but the U.S. Olympic Committee appears to agree with the Rio Police's assertion about Ryan Lochte's robbery case, which wasn't a robbery case at all. He's going to have to pay $10,000. Lochte. I need some Losh tea. That sounds good. Losh. Whatever that